Welcome to the program. Now, the Commissioner of the Public Services for Mississippi's Central District, Brent Bailey. Commissioner, always good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mr. Gerard. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. So what's the latest from the Public Service Commission these days?
From the Commission, well, as you alluded to in your previous segment, we were listening to you as you're coming in the door there. You, like many other customers around the state, experienced one of the highest bills they likely have ever had.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of attribute to that, and that just gets flat out down to the weather. When you think the number of 100-degree days that we've had over the last month, many of them several days in a row, I think I saw something, I can't confirm it, but saw something like 12 days straight were 100-degree temperatures plus.
Yep.
And something like 44 out of the last 45 days were above 90. And that just adds up to increase in consumption in homes and businesses. And I know a lot of folks have been calling our office really upset when they get this latest utility bill. And it just gets down. These units, these HVA systems are just working as hard as they can to keep people safe and comfortable.
When they call your office, I mean, what are they looking for? They looking for relief? They call the energy company and tell them to lower my bill? What do they want?
Sometimes, they call the energy company and they do a check and review, and we can pull information working with the utilities, a history, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, go back and look at your average consumption and see how it flows over a 12-month period. Okay. And many times you see very similar usage patterns, but over summer, spring, winter, et cetera. And a lot of that is followed by the weather. You can see where we had a mild winter, mild summer. This summer has not been really mild at all, and that has reflected in the usage rates and, of course, the bills that we've seen. So while the kilowatt hours per month or per day on average has certainly gone up, the impact of last year's high natural gas prices has also translated into some rate impacts for this year as well. And as we continue to chip away with that, which we've done a really good job of, I believe in the near term, very soon we'll be able to see some relief on the rate side as that as well, because we've seen natural gas prices be very moderate, less than $3-4 a million BTU, maybe just certainly around 3 or less over the last probably say last 8-10 months, and that's really helped keep to make up for that spike we saw last summer.
Did we get up to $10?
We did. We bumped it right there in August of last year, the hottest time of the year. Yeah. Which really created a deficit in the fuel recovery component of our rate review and rate recovery aspect, which is what we've been feeling for the first half of this year. Yeah,
because I've certainly noticed that my natural gas bill has actually come down from where it was, and of course, I expect it to be a little higher during the winter when we do use the heat, because I do have natural gas-powered heat. But I have appliances and lanterns, for example, and my water heater is natural gas. So that's fairly level throughout the year, except in the winter when we might occasionally use the heater. But I've noticed that's come down, and I suspect that's because the cost of fuel's down.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. And electric, it has a different lag. Yeah. Because of the annual rate-making formula rate adjustments that we do on an annual basis in Mississippi. Some utilities in other states do it monthly, which has its pros and cons. Okay. But because we do ours annually, that gives businesses, industry, large manufacturing that certainty of understanding what that rate impact will be over a 12-month period. And a little certainty as well for consumers instead of just fluctuations.
What's the latest from Entergy with respect to these extended power outages that we experienced when we had these series of really severe thunderstorms that swept through the state?
We did back in June, a large number of severe systems, days apart, sometimes 24 hours apart, kept rolling through the state, and you'd stand up a set of poles, cross arms, transformer, and knock them back down the next day. And in total, they had well over 200, maybe 300,000 outage events, some individually, some multiple at the same location, and that added up, but I think a peak of like 110, 120,000 out at one time. Okay. And that created a lot of challenges. You're trying to communicate with folks. They did have a glitch in their system that lasted for about a day, day and a half, put them a little behind in trying to understand where these outages are. Got that resolved, and then then it was just really playing catch up and doing their best and bringing in resources across. Of course, there was impacts all across the Southeast. We're competing for contractors, for poles, for transformers, materials, and we got there. But in the meantime, it did create a lot of discomfort and upset a lot of folks, hardship for homeowners. We even had a gentleman within our own office who was out for 8 days. So PSC staff was not unaffected by this.
Gotcha.
And I hate that, and we saw that. So we did order the Entergy to respond, and here in my hand is the storm report we just received last week from them. So we've been going through it, and that's without appendices right there in the cover list. So they put a lot of time, detail, information in there, and we're, as staff and others, we're combing through it now and understanding the challenges they had, what it meant to consumer impacts, the hardships they felt, how we can plan better for these types. It was an unprecedented series of storms for the month of June.
Yeah.
And the consistency and the intensity of those storms was certainly unprecedented. But understanding going forward, the planning, the preparation, the response needed, particularly the customer communication side of it, to be more proactive and engage with customers. Nowadays, we all have devices. We all want information at our fingertips, and we want to understand how long we're going to be out so I can plan, prepare, and not sitting in the dark while receiving text messages say, congratulations, your power is on, or your power's on, and it says, heads up, your power's out. And those types of
well, we get accustomed to that.
We do.
And when you need it the most, of course, is when it's volatile. And when it's not working, when it's volatile, that's when you
Technology is great till it gets a snafu in it, and then everybody's wondering what happened. And,
that's right.
Particularly when that's what your operation and response mechanisms is based on. Then it's revert back to how we did it in the old days. Pick up the phone, write down pads, runners, that kind of stuff, and understand. But that's just part of the process. And as part of that, I heard you mention on the prior segment about community forums. We're going to be
tell me about that.
Part of that process is that it is folks. While we have received a ton of calls, emails, etc., in response to that, we've taken it in. There's still opportunities we want to share with consumers our findings and report to Entergy, and also just have general conversations about utility services overall and the job we're doing, the job the utilities are doing, what can be done better, what could be more efficient, and how do we ensure that rates and service remains reliable, affordable, accessible, and safe, particularly here in the Central District going forward.
Information about these forums on your website?
We're getting it out
Dates,
there.
times,
we just put out
places?
the press release for our first one, which would be in Madison on September 12th at the Pine Lake Church campus there outside of Gluckstadt, beginning at 6 p.m. And we're going to do a series of those, I think, over the next 6 or 7 weeks, and we'll continue to get the information out. We'll be in, Jackson, Port Gibson, Vicksburg, Greenville, and other places. So
all across your district.
That's right.
So is this something unique to the Central District, or are the other commissioners doing the same?
So I know other commissioners have done town halls as well. It's the first time we've had this opportunity with something we've always wanted to do. But as you remember, came in office in January, and this little thing called COVID hit in March, pretty shut down the world. We'd never had that opportunity to gather people together, have those conversations. So a lot of it was done on videos and Zooms and things like that. So it's something we've always wanted to do, but now we've had that opportunity to really get out there and have a forum to talk about these types of issues.
Will this be you and other folks from your office that will be there?
Myself.
Just you?
Yes,
okay.
Well, me, and there will be other folks' office, and we're going to vote wherever we're at. Utilities will be invited as well to come in and participate, and we'll moderate conversations. If there's questions directed to them, we can make that connection if customers need.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. That I know you're a smart guy, but you probably don't know everything there is to know about this.
Come on now, give me a little credit. Give me a little credit.
Just want to make sure you had some help there.
We do. And just real quick, there's about 400 utility linemen from the state of Mississippi that's in Florida right now, in the state of Georgia. They're responding to the hurricanes. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers for safe travel there, safe during their restoration. They're going to probably be there for 7 days, some of them, in particular on their journey back to Mississippi.
Public Service Commissioner Brent Bailey of Mississippi's Central District. Always appreciate you coming in there, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We're coming right back with more in the Element Wealth Studio.